But this is a rare event. These bites are probably due to a couple of confounding factors. First and foremost, that was a holiday weekend, so a lot of people in the water increases the chance of an encounter. And then, secondly, with this impending storm coming, large coastal species are known to come closer to shore and increase their feeding activity. Put those two factors together, and you got a series of unfortunate events.
So obviously hurricane season comes every year, but you're thinking it was also just the timing of the 4th of July weekend, a lot of people out in the water. Can you speak of why that combination can be dangerous?
Yeah, so more people in the water increases your encounter. More people, there's more commotion, a lot of splashing. If people are wearing jewelry, a lot more fishermen, all of that can make a shark more inquisitive and more likely to come up and investigate. Sharks explore their environment through their mouths. They don't have hands. And so they do something that's called bump and bite. And so they kind of bump something that they think they might be interested in or might be a prey item first, and then they come in for a test bite. That's likely what happened here, case of mistaken identity, especially since the shark didn't come back to those individuals. I know there were multiple individuals, but that shark didn't come back to each individual person a second time. That really does speak to it being a test bite. It's also why we say bite rather than attack. Attack means a shark is actively hunting for humans, and we are not on the menu.
And going back to the relationship with the weather, it's kind of almost what analogous to what the way humans prepare for before a storm hits. They go out and they get, I mean, you're saying the sharks are doing this in anticipation of the storm coming?
Right. So we watch the news and then say, okay, time to prepare. There's not an animal news channel essentially. So the animal kingdom, even marine species like sharks, have a instinct of when those big events are coming and that they need to prepare. So these sharks are going out and feeding prior to this storm.
And you're saying not necessarily or not even likely that they were even seeking out humans.
Definitely not seeking out humans. No.
And why did you feel so confident about that?
So again, we're not on the menu. We're very large organisms in their environment. And so if you look at what most sharks are feeding, especially those that we get in the Western Gulf, it's prey species, small bait fish, maybe some, 2 or 3 foot type fish, but they would have to, just based on their feeding style, we are not on the menu. And so as many sharks as I have touched, and I'm still here with all my fingers and toes, we're not on the menu or likely to be.
And this wasn't some guy out by himself. I mean, in other words, we're thinking there are multiple sharks out in that environment. This just happened to be a chance encounter.
Yes, so where there's one shark, there's likely multiple sharks. So yes, there were probably multiple sharks all around. In fact, if every time you go in the ocean, you are likely closer to a shark than you think you are.
Do we anticipate more activity with more hurricanes on, in the forecast as the months go on? I mean, is this something to obviously keep in the back of our minds?
It is something to keep in the back of our minds. We should just be aware when we enter into the ocean, we are entering into their habitat. And so you should just be aware in general when you enter into the ocean that you could be close to a shark and look around and see what's happening. If there's a lot of bait fish around you, maybe you need to move to a different area of the beach.
And just to underscore just how rare this is, as we mentioned off the top, I mean, I think someone looked it up that like in the last 70 years, there's been maybe like 7 encounters. I mean, this is extremely rare. So not to blow this out of proportion, I guess, for the public at large.
This is extremely rare. The fact I like to give is you are more likely to be bit by someone in New York than you are a shark.
That is a great way to put it into perspective. One more thing, the work you guys do in terms of tracking them. I mean, you guys are aware at most times where these guys are, or at least a good sense.
Yeah, so for those species that we have satellite trackers on, yes, we can tell you where they are in relatively real time. For other species that may not come to the surface as often, we use a different type of tag, and that's a little more delayed. I will also state that anybody that is interested more in our research or about these encounters, we have a Shark Week event next Thursday, and we will have a team of shark scientists there. So anybody can come talk to us one on one. We'd be happy to talk through any of not just our research, but these events, these encounters.
And is there any sort of difference in terms of the types of sharks that are more likely to come closer to the shoreline, or is it really just could be any of them? And we don't even really know the ones yesterday what they were.
The ones yesterday were likely a larger coastal species just from the videos that I had seen. Um, on a day-to-day basis in the summer, it could be any type of shark. Right now, with the impending storm, it's likely larger species are coming closer to shore. Smaller coastal sharks tend to go deeper during major disturbances. They're more likely to be pushed around by the waves in the water than a larger species.
Anything else you think people should keep in mind when they're out enjoying the beach?
There are things you can do to help minimize a counter. Don't swim near someone that's fishing. Try not to wear flashy jewelry or metallic swimsuits. Um, and just be aware that when you enter the ocean, you're entering into their habitat. And so just be aware of your surroundings.
Okay, well, I think we about covered it. Just one final question before I go, and I asked this at the beginning, but I just want to make sure I get the full scope of this. You heard this news yesterday, and your first thought was,
My first thought was about the individuals and the family and just how painful that is to be celebrating a holiday and have this happen. My second, as a scientist that studies sharks, is that this is such a rare encounter. And then to have that many bites back to back, what could be the cause? And so that's when we started looking into some of this research and noticed that they could have increased activity around the hurricanes.
also, I forgot to mention this part that it's likely more than one shark. The bites were probably not from the same rogue shark.
Yeah, we don't have a way to determine exactly if it was one or many. I would probably lean toward there were many in the area, but whether the culprit is a single or multiple, I can't answer that.